Oh. Hello. Welcome to the Date for Marriage, Dating with Marriage Live. Welcome. I know you ladies have been with me. You've been getting the emails for the Date for Marriage month. So for the next 15 days, I think we're in day 7 or day 7 or day 8. I can't remember, but I know that actually we're in day 9. Tomorrow will be day 10. Tomorrow will be day 10 for the Date for Marriage month. Okay. All throughout this month, the next one, not even all throughout this month. The next 5 days, tomorrow is going to be day 10. And then for the next 5 days, we're going to continue with our Date for Marriage month. But I wanted to come on live to answer any questions, to talk to you ladies. I've been getting a lot of emails from you. I've been reading your responses on how the emails have been helping you. And I'm just excited to just have some girl talk today about this Date for Marriage. We are heading into December. Okay. In November and December, around this time, the cold time, November, December, January, February, this is what is considered cuffing season in the world. Okay. But what I like to call it is mating season. Okay. So this is mating season. And that just means that this time of the year, it's when men and single women, they're putting in more effort to get married, okay? Because they want to show up to the table for Thanksgiving, which they probably already did now, right? Thanksgiving is gone. Showing up at the table for Christmas, not having anything to do for New Year's. They want to seriously position themselves for marriage. Like they really want to make it happen, okay? So around this time of the year is when we're dawn on people like, hey, I'm still single and I'm not trying to, I feel like I want to change that. So men and women are both putting in the effort to get married, okay? And God wants you married, okay? So the Date for Marriage month is all about positioning you to date for marriage so that you can get out there, okay? Attract the kind of man that you want so that you get married. Let me see who we have on. Who do we have on? Looks like we already have Q&A going on in here. Hey, little princess. Who else do we have on? I see Gigi. I see that. Hello. And I know we're live on Facebook as well, so feel free to Facebook. I can't see your comments, so I may have to hop over and look at it sometimes. But I can't see it on my other screen here. Okay. Let's see who else we have on. And you can go ahead and drop your Q&As. I know you ladies have already, you've been a part of the Date for Marriage for the past 10 days or 9 days so far. So feel free to ask any questions about what we talked about some of the things that I've shared with you, about some of the action items. I know today we talked about just vetting men, right? Dysfunctional versus men with flaws, which is a huge one. Many women want to know just, how do I discern a good man, right? How do I know what's acceptable and not acceptable in a relationship? So I sent the email this morning and you learned about discerning dysfunction from flaws, okay? So feel free to drop your questions in the chat. I'm just going to I just have some notes here that I'm going to share. I know the one email I sent out, which was last week on dating while abstinence, dating without sex. I got a lot of responses on that particular email in particular. Okay, so I kind of want to talk a little bit more about that because I know there's many questions about that, many misconceptions about that. And I wanted to share more about my experience with that. And it's going to help with answering the question on how to make sure that you don't make the same relationship mistakes. Have anybody feel like that? Do you feel like you really don't want to date? Like you want to date, but you're a little afraid to date because you don't want to make the same dating mistakes again, the same relationship mistakes again? Have anyone on here feel like that? Or does that come up for you? Anyone? Hey, La Princess. Anyone, feel free to just drop it in the chat if that comes up for you, or some of the things that concerns you just about dating again. Okay, some of you are in your late 30s. Some of you are in your early 40s. Okay, and there's a reason why you haven't positioned yourself to dating. Some of you may believe that believers shouldn't date. Okay, there's a whole big debate about whether or not a believer should be dating, and it's not that the biggest thing, and I'll probably address that in the email as well. The biggest thing is we don't date like the world, but we do date. Okay. So we're not just dating around and just being with anybody, but we do date. And what I like to call it courtship. And there's a big difference between dating and courtship, but I'm not going to go into there today. So some of you, that may be holding you back. Some of you have tried online dating and haven't had good luck with that. There's many reasons for why you may not be dating, or maybe you are dating somebody right now. And maybe you're not sure on whether or not you're in the right relationship. So I know there's different scenarios. I've been getting emails about different scenarios of, I know women are in relationships. They're not sure about it. There are women who are dating somebody and they're not sure about that neither. Then there's women who are a little afraid to step back out there and dating again because they've been hurt so much in the past and they just don't know how to use the wisdom to date again. Okay. So many reasons. Okay. So I want to share how to make sure you don't make the same relationship mistakes again. Now, most women believe that how to avoid to not making the same relationship mistakes again. Most women believe that they need to just not date for a while to heal. Okay. They believe they don't need to date for a while to heal, or they believe that they need to learn more dating advice. So they're on Google, they're on YouTube, they're on every relationship podcast, every relationship YouTube. They're listening to everything about relationships and dating. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it reaches a point where it's like information overload. And if you're not applying any of that information, it goes nowhere. Okay. It goes nowhere. And one thing I've noticed about women who do that is once you learn all this information, you get all this information, but if you're not applying it, or when it comes to being in a relationship, it seems like it all goes down the drain. Like, you know, all this stuff, you've learned all this stuff, but when you get into a relationship with a man, it seems like you can't put any of that in action. It's like you can't pull the trigger on what you know that you should be doing. Okay. So you believe that you need to learn a whole lot of dating advice, a whole lot of relationship advice. This is the common one. I need to focus on myself to heal. Okay. I need to focus on myself to heal. That's a big one. I just need to focus on myself. I know women where it's been years, like 5, 10, 7 years, where they're still saying they're just focusing on themselves to heal. Okay. And the scary part about that, I've also talked to many women where they've done that, which is so scary. They've done that for 5 years, 10 years, even 7 years. They've done that, got back out into the dating scene. And I kid you not, they've done that. They've took the time away from dating, that time to focus on themselves, and they get back out and the same thing happens again. So if not dating doesn't help, if learning dating advice doesn't help, if focusing on myself doesn't help, then what does help? Well, I'm just going to share what does help. Okay. First off, we know time doesn't heal all wounds. Okay. We know time doesn't heal wounds. Just because it's been a long time since you've dated again, it doesn't mean that you're healed. It doesn't mean that you're ready to date again. Okay. It's what you're doing during your time away that matters. Okay. Dating advice doesn't work because some women problems, it's a heart problem. Okay. It's not just dating advice. That's the surface level, right? That's like putting a Band-Aid on the wound, right? You want to make sure that wound is healed. You want to make sure that it's clean, that it's not infected. Okay. Just putting a Band-Aid over it and pretending like it's not there doesn't help anything. Okay. So some women, dating advice isn't working because it's not dating that's the problem. It's a heart problem. Okay. Focusing on myself. What exactly does that mean? Okay. What does focusing on myself mean? What exactly does that mean? Okay. So for some women, it usually means that she's doing stuff like taking herself out on dates. She's taking herself out on dates. She's going to the spa, and she's doing all these other things like that, making sure that she's looking nice. And all that stuff is good. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But understand that the inner work needs to happen too. Okay. The inner work needs to happen too. Okay. So all of these are just shortcuts around the real problem. Okay. It's pretty much beating around the bush from the right problem, from the real problem. Okay. All of these are shortcuts to the real problem. So the real problem, and is what you ladies have been reading for the past 9 days, the real problem is discernment. Okay. It's discernment. Okay. And the real solution is to make sure that you've learned the lesson and that you gain the wisdom. Okay. Make sure you learned the lesson and that you've gained the wisdom, because what we don't learn from, we will repeat. Okay. It's not a matter of things just going away. It's not a matter of just praying away or just fasting away. You have to learn the lesson. Okay. This is big. And it's, I when I'm talking to women, especially believers, all I work with is believers. There's so many things. There's so many, limiting beliefs that I have to tear down. Okay. Some things you cannot just pray away. Some things you just cannot fast away. There's some things you really have to put in the real work to change. We are a triumph being. That means we are spirit, soul, and body. That means I need to work on my spirit. I need to work on my soul, which is my mind. Okay. My emotions. I need to work on those things too. Those things matter. Okay. So we are triumph beings, spirit, soul, and body. I need to work on all three things. Okay. So make sure that you've learned the lesson and gained the wisdom. What we don't learn from, we will repeat. The greatest predictor, and this is huge, the greatest predictor of the past, the greatest predictor of the future is the past without some growth factor in between. That means what I don't learn from, I'm going to repeat. Okay. If I don't have any growth factor in between my relationship mistake, then I'm going to make the same mistake again. As a matter of fact, I can promise you, if you don't put in the work in between, you're going to make the same relationship mistake again. I talk to a woman, I share it all the time. One of my oldest clients, and I always have women in their 60s that want to work with me. And it's I'm not trying to bash them or anything like that. It's just proven that just because I get older doesn't mean I get wiser. Just because I get older doesn't mean I get wiser. Okay. Many people believe just because I get older, I get wiser. And the more information I get wiser. Information without application does nothing. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about discernment. So the real problem is discernment. And when I think about discernment, what I think about is early in my dating, before I go on, any questions about that? What do you ladies think about that? Let me know what you think about that. Let me know your thoughts about that. Let me know some of the misconceptions that you've been experiencing. Don't be quiet on here, y'all. I see you, Gigi. I see you, Ashley. I see you, Legette. I see you, Vet. I see you. What are some of the things that you've been getting? What are some of the misconceptions? What are some of those, what are your struggles? What's been frustrating you about dating as a believer? Let me know. Let me know. Okay. So when I think about this with how to make sure I don't make the same relationship mistakes, I think about when I first started my journey of abstinence. So when I first started practicing abstinence, there was God put it on my heart to practice abstinence. Okay. And by the grace of God, he put it on my heart and I made the decision to do it. Okay. There was nobody to talk to. I didn't have anybody that really influenced the decision. I did read the book, The Wait, with Megan Good and what's his name? Devon Franklin. I did read that book. But other than that, I didn't really have much guidance on what I was doing. I didn't know how to date while abstinent because in my circle at that time, nobody was talking about that. I didn't know anybody who was dating while abstinent. So for me, it took a while. So I remember I met one guy. So I told you guys in the email. So there was like guys before I met where I am now, before I started dating God-fearing men who are like-minded. But before that, I remember just being at a state where I was trying to figure out like what was okay and what wasn't okay. Some of the questions I had was, what if he is not a believer and he wants to wait? And I've got advice. that was okay. And now that I know that's not okay, okay, they're like, oh, as long as he's waiting, you're honoring God, doesn't mean if he's not a believer, okay? So that was one of my questions, like, what if he's what if he's not a believer, but he's willing to wait, okay? Or what if he wants to wait for me? What if he wasn't practicing abstinence before and he wants to wait for me? So there were so many questions that I had about it, and I just didn't know the answers to it. So I was dating a guy a few years ago, around the time when I first started practicing abstinence. It's been, I believe it's like 8 years since I've been practicing abstinence. And so this was in the beginning, and I was dating this guy, and I can't believe it's been that long. Can't believe it's that long. So I was dating this guy, and I remember he was a believer, but he didn't go to church. But what I did notice, what really made him stand out was compared to the guys in the past, he actually wanted to wait, because I told you guys before that there was men who I would date, and once I told them that I was abstinent, they would leave. They would ghost. Some would they would just ghost me. Some would tell me, oh, you about to be single for a long time because ain't no man gonna wait. I got so much just being dragged about waiting for marriage, where I thought it was going to be easy. I thought that it was actually going to be attractive, honestly. I'm like, okay, it'll separate me from the regular woman who's ready to bust it wide open, right? It'll make, I should show up more as a wife to them if, they know that I'm waiting. But they wasn't, men were like, no, okay, they were ghosts. So I was still learning. Okay, I was still learning. And I knew that if a man wouldn't wait, that he wasn't the one, but I didn't really understand the depth. You know what I mean? So I knew that if he didn't wait, I knew that part. I knew that, the broad part, that if he didn't wait, then he wasn't the one, but I didn't really understand the depth of it all. Okay. I didn't know all about generational curses and the effects of sexual sin. I didn't know that just because a man waits for me doesn't mean he's truly God-fearing. I didn't know the depth of my purpose and the caliber of man that needs to cover me in marriage. I didn't know that purity was not just abstaining from sex, but that purity was a lifestyle, okay? Was a lifestyle, and that it was God's will for my life and my husband's life, okay? And the man meant for me can either lead me to God, or he can lead me deeper into sin, pushing me further away from God, okay? I didn't know about the deep need that I had for love that was driving me into the hands of the wrong men. Okay. I didn't know about this stuff. I didn't know about that. And I didn't know what I needed to do for it to change. Okay. I didn't know what I need to do to change. Y'all are quiet in here. Let me pull this up and see if it's up in here. Y'all are quiet up in here. I didn't know these things. Okay. I didn't know. Hey, Shells. Hey, Alicia. I didn't know. But once I understood the impact of the decision to practice abstinence, I was able to move differently in relationships. Okay. Once I understood this, I was able to move differently. I knew that he needed to not only be practicing abstinence, but to be doing it for the right reasons. Okay. Not only be practicing abstinence, but he needed to be doing it for the right reasons. I knew that he needed to, hey, Alicia, I knew that he needed to have his own relationship with God for me to trust him to cover me in marriage. Okay. He had to have his own relationship with God in order for him to cover me in marriage. Okay. I learned that who we say yes to, okay, you want to be married, you want to date for marriage, okay, it's a big part of your life, right? Who we decide to do life with is a huge part, okay? Who you say yes to becomes the head of your household or your covering, right? He has to lead you in everything. He has to lead you in everything. He has to lead us in everything. It doesn't matter how much money you make if you tie up with the wrong man. He has the potential to cause you to lose everything. The potential to cause you to lose everything, including your mind. Okay. There's women I talked to who went through breakups so terrible that they've been hospitalized. Okay. Only to come back out and get their heart broken again. Our heart was not meant to go through that kind of pain. It wasn't meant for that. Unnecessary. That's unnecessary. Okay. Playing with the matters of your heart it impacts your life. It can be detrimental to your life. Okay. And I knew that we had to get along when it comes to relationships. I knew that we had to get along. I knew that we had to have similar interests and have other things in common outside of our relationship with God so that we can do life together in a healthy way. Okay. And now that I know what I know, I've been able to avoid the same relationship mistakes again. Okay. With new men, because I'm aware of where I went wrong and what I need to do to change it. Okay. Also, I noticed this is a huge part. Okay. What do I need to do to make sure I don't make the same relationship mistakes again? Okay. A huge part. I noticed that with me, that as I grew more into the woman that God had called me to be, the men who were interested in me, they changed to fit that. Okay, so it wasn't a matter of me just attracting the same man again. I was attracting different as I was becoming different. Okay, so when I talk to women and they're telling me the type of men that they're attracting, honestly, my question is about them. My question is about them. I want to know, what is it? What is it about these men? I need to dig deep to find out what's on their heart that's causing them to keep dating these type of men. Okay, because it's not a matter of just these men. Sometimes we point a lot of fingers at the men. We point a lot of fingers with the dating pool. But I have to say it, right? If you're attracting the same men, you have to pay attention to yourself. You have to search yourself to figure out why, and you have to put in the work to change it. It doesn't just go away. You're not just praying it away. Okay, you got to put in the work. Playing with shortcuts and the matter of the hearts can be detrimental to your life. Okay, so the more I grew into the woman myself, the men changed to fit that. It wasn't much that I did. I just start going into becoming this woman myself. Okay, the men changed to fit that. Okay, I was just talking to someone the other day when I was telling them, I said, hey, I can find out a lot about a person just by their past relationships. All I need to know is your last 3 relationships, and it can tell me a lot about you. It can tell me your tolerance. It can tell me your areas of weakness. For instance, let's just say you're attracting a lot of manipulators, women who are like, I keep attracting narcissists, okay? A woman who keeps attracting narcissists is most likely a woman who struggles with her own confidence. She struggled with her own confidence. She has some type of mentality, some type of, it's likely a fear of, it could be a fear of rejection that's causing her to be attracting these type of men. There's something there, and it's likely her own confidence, okay? Because a narcissistic man, he's overly confident, right? Everything is about him, is about him, is about him. A woman who has low confidence and she has this mindset that she wants to keep love. This is a woman that find herself in relationships with narcissists because they lock and key, right? They lock and key. It's all about him, and her, it's all about him, okay? It's all about him, right? And she's all about him. So she feeds his narcissistic trait by making it all about him, okay? And he feeds her need to please people by making it all about him, okay? So they walk together and they do this thing together, okay? So I can find out a lot about a person by looking at their last 3 relationships. And you can do this on yourself, writing down your last 3 relationships. We do this on the Wife Prep Workshop, which we'll probably have one here in December, where I have you write down your relationships, and I have you assess your relationships, and I help you with understanding why you're doing it and what you need to do to change, okay? And some things, it doesn't happen overnight. Some things, it takes a process, okay? When it comes to the matter of the heart, it's a process, okay? So I noticed that as I grew more into the woman God has called me to be, the men change to fit that, okay? So how to make sure you don't make the same relationship mistakes again. You need the depth, Okay. You need the depth of why you've made the mistakes in the past in relationships. Okay. You need the depth of it. Okay. Not just how to date better. You need the depth. You need the depth. You need to know why. Okay. Okay. Not just, the men I were dating, they weren't a man of God. Okay. That's just part of the problem. Not just he wasn't a man of God. That's part of the problem. You want depth. And then get an understanding. Get an understanding of what you keep missing. Okay. Get an understanding of what you keep missing. What am I not seeing? Okay. Sometimes we got to sit and we got to do this work on ourselves. What am I missing? What am I not seeing? Okay. For me, when I did my own assessment, okay, for me, it was intimate attention. I was not getting that intimate attention. So when it came to relationships with the man, of course, when you're with the man, you're having, they shower you with all this attention. You're beautiful, this, good morning, this, and you're this, you're that, all these affirmations. They're giving you these words of affirmation, and it's making you feel good. Why? Because you're not getting it on a daily basis. And you actually need that. We need to be reminded that we're doing a good job. We need to be reminded that we're on the right track. We need to be reminded that we're not doing anything wrong. We need to be reminded that we're beautiful. We need that kind of attention. We need to be able to talk to people about our feelings. We need to be in relationships with people that actually care. So when you're not getting that on a daily basis, of course, you're going to cleave to relationships to receive that. And of course, it's going to be harder for you to let go of a relationship where you're receiving that on top of all the other dysfunction that comes with being with the wrong man. Is this making sense to you? Are you getting this? Tamara says, Gigi says, that's good to hear. Tamara says, this is so true. I'm learning this myself. Tamara says, yes, but we have to be willing to hear the truth in order to come out of this. The whole truth, Tamara, the whole truth. We need the whole truth. We need the whole truth. The whole truth. The truth is what sets us free. Okay. Some women, they run from those things some women, they run from the truth because sometimes the truth is hard to hear. Many of us have people in our lives that's only telling us what we want to hear. We have people in our lives that's only telling us what we want to hear. We need people in our lives that's telling us the truth. Okay, they love us enough that they're telling us the truth, that when we're jacked up, they're saying you're jacked up. And when you're wrong, they're telling you, hey, you were wrong. Okay, you were wrong. So we need those people. We need the truth. Absolutely, Samira. So get an understanding of what you keep missing in the relationship. Okay, then you need the wisdom of how to do differently. Okay, now that I know what my problem is, what do I need to do to change it? What exactly do I need to do to change it? What do I need to change it? Okay. If I keep attracting narcissistic men, okay. If I keep attracting, maybe it's manipulators, men who take advantage of me. If I keep attracting these type of men, how do I date differently where I can attract better men? So we need to find out why you've made those mistakes. So why you've been attracting manipulators. So we got to search your heart, search you, figure out what's there. Okay. A woman who's attracting manipulators. Manipulators are men who they say all the good stuff to get what they want. Okay. They do anything to get what they want. Then when they get what they want, they disappear. Okay. They manipulate you to get what they want and then they disappear. Okay. Or maybe they don't disappear. They're only around because they're getting what they want. So it's a one-sided relationship. Okay. So a woman who attracts a man like that is just similar to a woman who keeps attracting narcissists. Okay. This is a woman who maybe had a fear of abandonment. Okay. So she does this good stuff. She does what she needs to do to keep her man around. She does what she needs to do to keep her man around. If that means keeping her mouth shut, she's going to keep her mouth shut. If that means pretending like she doesn't see him texting other women, she's going to pretend like she doesn't see him texting other women. Or maybe she does bring up that she sees him texting other women and she give him some lip service, but he still gets to lay still gets to call her and text her and lay next to her at night. So with a woman like that, we want to get to the root of this fear of abandonment. Where does this come from? How did this get there? Why didn't you leave when you realized this was happening? Why did you stay? Okay. And once we can learn that, then we can find out what you need to do differently. Okay. So a woman who's attracting a lot of manipulators. Okay. That means she fears abandonment. So a woman who fears abandonment, that means that she's missing out. We definitely want to go through the process, the healing process. And I have a healing process that I take women through in Ready for Love. It's a breakthrough process. And some of you know a little bit about it already. If you've been reading the emails, I've been sharing that with you. If you're not a part of my email list, feel free to DM me or email me. And actually just go to my website, latricecarpenter.com. And then if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you should be able to join the email community. But so go through the breakthrough process to heal. And then we need to gain the wisdom. Okay. So if you've been attracting a lot of manipulators, okay, it's because of fear of abandonment. Once we go through the healing process, now we need to we got to put things in place in your life so that you feel whole without a relationship. So a woman who fears abandonment, she needs more loving relationships in her life. She needs more people in her life that she considers safe and that she can talk to and they won't leave. She needs people in her life where she can speak the truth, tell them about how she's feeling, talk to them, pretty much share her heart, and it's safe with them. They're not running. They won't leave. Okay. They accept her emotions. They accept the way she thinks. Okay. That builds her up to get the confidence when she's in a relationship with the man that she's not performing and doing what she needs to do to keep him around, because she knows that my emotions are safe. My feelings are safe. I've experienced this outside of intimate relationships. Okay. So you need the wisdom of how to do differently. Okay. And then you need to put in the work. Then you need to put in the work and start dating again, okay? So you've gotten the depth. You know why you made the same mistakes, okay? You got the understanding of why you were doing the things in the past with the relationships, okay? You know the wisdom of how to do differently, okay? Now you need to make some moves. You need to make some moves. That means you need to get out and talk to men. Okay, you need to talk to men. Okay, you need to, once you've learned the lesson and you got the wisdom and you feel confident with how to do better, get out there and meet new men. Okay, meet men, meet a lot of them. Talk to them. Okay, talk to them on Facebook, on Instagram. Okay, men you don't even like, conversate with them. Okay, talk to these men. All right, you're single. What are you not talking to men for? Why are you talking to your girlfriends all the time? Talk to men. Okay, just talk to them. Even if you're not interested. You don't got to be interested in men to talk to them. What's going to happen is it's going to build your confidence with men. I want to share something. So one thing I noticed was I sat back and I reflected on my life. I was like, wait a minute. Every man I know or who's been a part of my life on an intimate level has been a man that I've been in a relationship with or wanted to be in a relationship with me. That's all I knew. Granted, I have brothers and cousins. I come from a family of like 8 or 9 brothers and cousins, right? But outside of them, I noticed that all the men in my life or who have ever been in my life who knew me on an intimate level, because my dad wasn't present, right? The only man that knew me on an intimate level, only men that knew me on intimate levels was men that I were in a relationship, men that I was dating. And many of you may be experiencing the same thing. You don't talk to men if you're not dating them. You don't talk to men if they're not interested in you in an intimate way. So for me, I realized, wow, I have a perverted perception about men. I had a perverted perception about men. And what God did was he brought men into my life who truly wanted to be my friend and wasn't interested in me intimately. They just wanted to get to know me. They just wanted to be my friend. He brought men into my life, and I thought it was odd. I'm like, wait a minute, why is this man not trying to, why is he not trying to ask for my number? Why is he not, trying to hit on me, right? True God-fearing, pure man who simply just respects women. So for some of you, talk to men without the googly eyes, right? You don't have to have the googly eyes, right? So that you build healthy relationships with men outside of intimate relationships. It's going to build your confidence with men. So talk to men. Talk to a lot of them, even the ones you're not interested in. As a matter of fact, when you go to the grocery store tomorrow, while you're walking around, smile at a man and just ask him a question about what's in his cart. Have a conversation. Talk to the man, okay? What you'll notice, one thing I notice is, and I talk to good men all the time, okay, all the time as a love coach, as I'm posting stuff about relationships. Men are always in my DMs asking me questions. Men are not the ones that are on the comments. They're in your DMs asking you questions. I'm always having men in my DMs asking me questions about relationships. And some of the things that the men are saying is women are not talking to them. So they get the same. So good men have the same issues that good women have. And that's people don't talk to them. Talk to the man, okay? Talk to him. You find a man that you may be interested in. He seems like a good man. Spark up a conversation. How do you spark up a conversation? Ask open-ended questions. Ask open-ended questions to get the man to talk. Put them people skills to work. Okay, put them people skills to work. Okay, and we're going to talk more about that on the next 5 days. So my next 5 days of emails is going to be all about just where to be and how to talk to men. Okay, all right. So the next 5 days we're going to get all of that. All right. Carolyn says, I just want a man to come up to me and stop staring all the time. Why are you not talking to him, Carolyn? If you see him staring, why not just smile and say hi? Smile and say hi. Some men have social anxiety. There's a lot of people that have social anxiety where they may see somebody that they're attracted to, but for whatever reason, sometimes as a woman, your body language can give off, don't come over here, don't even try it. Right? So Carolyn, maybe check your body language. Maybe your body language maybe he thinks you're beautiful. But maybe you're giving him the stinky face where it's like, or maybe you're not giving a stinky face at all. Maybe your face is just straight where it's just like, oh my gosh, y'all gonna get me being silly. All right, I'm not being silly, but yeah, smile, Carolyn, smile at him and say hi. Right? Samira says, I just did this on Instagram. Yes, right? Yes, definitely on Instagram and Facebook. As a matter of fact, I did this same thing and it got me in a 6-month relationship. I did this before. All I did was, and I wasn't doing it on purpose. I wasn't trying to shoot no shot or anything like that. A few years ago, it was this guy who was following me on Facebook. And hopefully, yeah, we're not friends on Facebook anymore. I looked on Facebook like, wait a minute. No one, think he, had that major place in my life. But anyway, this guy on Facebook, we were on Facebook. I was on Facebook. We were friends on Facebook. And I just liked the stuff that he was sharing. I really was interested in the stuff that he was sharing. And I was just liking it. And I realized I was liking a lot of his stuff. So I slowed down. But I don't think I slowed down soon enough. Next thing you know, he was in my inbox, right? He's like, oh, who's this girl keep giving me all this attention? Right? He's in my inbox. And I think I was commenting on some of the stuff because some of the stuff he was posting was really good. So I'm like, I like this stuff. So I'm like, I commented on something. So he slid in my DMs and we were in a 6-month relationship just because of that. So y'all better make your network. Make your network. In my Ready for Love program, women learn about how to make their network. Okay, we talk a lot about this, how to grow your people skills, how to talk to men, how to expose yourself to good men. Okay, when your experience with men have been all negative, you want to change it to positive so that you not only attract the man that you want, but that you appreciate him. Right? So that you appreciate men. All right. All right. So put in the work to start dating dating again. All right. Hey, Janetta. Hey, Marie. Hey, Michelle. Hey, Tan. Okay. All right. So we have, let's see. What other questions do y'all have? What do you have about this? I don't know why this is still red. Okay. I'm going to mark this as this is done. Okay. What other questions do you have? She's like, you're right. Okay, perfect. Okay, what other questions do you have? So we've been talking about how to make sure you don't make the same relationship mistakes again while dating. Okay, how to make sure you don't date the same man again. 3 things. You need the depth, okay? You need the depth of why you've made the mistakes in the past, okay? 2, you need the wisdom of how to do differently, okay? And then once you've learned the depth, once you've learned the why, once you've learned the how, okay, then you need to put in the work. Put in the work and start dating again. Once you've learned the lesson and got the wisdom, you can feel confident with how to do better. Okay, so get out there and meet new men. And I encourage, okay, if you've been a woman who's been attracting the same man, once you've learned the depth, why you made the same mistakes, once you've got to the inner, you've gone through the inner process, you've done the self-work, okay, you got the understanding of why you kept, why you've been dating a certain type of men or, whatever's been going on in the past. Once you've gotten the wisdom of how to do differently, I believe that another step to go in between is to do what I said a few minutes ago, which is talk to men and build relationships with men without giving them googly eyes, without it being intimate. I think that's a healthy approach to just before dating again. Change your perception about men, okay? Because what I believe is that when a man has done the hurting in the past, it's going to take a man to do the healing. When a man was responsible for the hurting in the past, a man is going to have to do the healing. Okay, so it's going to come through those platonic relationships with men. Platonic relationships with men that respect you and honor you, and they don't want anything from you in return. Do you know how confident that can make a woman feel? For a man to appreciate her as a woman and not want sex from her, not even a date from her. How many of you have experienced that? How many of you have a man in your life today outside of your family who respects you and honor you, and he has never asked you out on a date? He doesn't want to have sex with you. He doesn't want to be in a relationship with you. He just respects you and honor you as a woman. Just think about that. Janetta says, when people say do the work, what does that really mean? That can mean a lot of things. You mean the self-work, Janetta, or the get out and start meeting men? Which one? Janetta says, I have daddy issues. Honestly, that's why I attract unhealthy men. Okay. So Janetta, you've been on our Wife Prep Challenge. So when a woman says they have daddy issues, it's just all that is that there's unprocessed pain. Okay, the self-work. Yes. Okay, perfect. So when a woman says they have daddy issues, all that means is that it's unprocessed pain of the past. That means my view about men has been tarnished because of my father. Women who have daddy issues, she doesn't really respect men. She can't really trust men. The biggest thing is she struggles with trusting men. That's a big one. Okay. So for you, it's like a fear of men almost. Right? It's almost like a fear. A woman who doesn't trust, underneath trust issues is fear. Okay. And when I'm afraid of something, it's because I'm afraid of the same thing happening again. Okay. And if I'm afraid of the same thing happening again, then that just means I haven't healed from what happened to me initially. So how do I do the self-work? I need to heal from what happened to me initially. How do you heal? You process the pain of the past, okay? That can be through counseling. That can be through coaching, okay? In Ready for Love, woman, that's the first thing we do. You go through the process of addressing it, right? Understanding what happened, the truth of it all, Okay, there's different forms of therapy. There's different forms of talk therapy that you go through. Sometimes it's deliverance. Sometimes you need healing and deliverance. Okay. So there's a lot. It depends on the person. Sometimes it's not all the soul. Sometimes there's a spiritual component there. Do you know? And my woman learned this in Ready for Love. There's a spirit of rejection that attracts even more rejection. So a woman will find herself keep attracting men that keep doing the same exact thing that their father did, which is leaving. Okay. So sometimes it's healing and deliverance that's needed. All right. All right. Other questions? Any other questions? So you want to put in the work. Okay. Tamara says, I'm writing this down. I'm definitely ready to date. Okay, perfect. Tamara says, I have a male best friend. Okay, good, Tamara. So yes, I love that. Perfect. All right, Carolyn says, how do you feel about online dating? Do you feel it opens the door for the enemy to send traps easily? No. How do I feel about online dating? I think online dating is excellent if you can do it wisely. I believe that it's just the same as if you were dating somebody in person. I believe that you want to do the same thing, right? You want to use the same wisdom. Just like if I meet somebody in person and he asks for my number, it's the same thing, and I'm asking him questions to see who he is, making sure, just figuring out who he is before I give him my number. It's the same thing I'm going to do with online dating. Only thing difference with online dating is I have a longer window to get the information I need before I give him my number. So honestly, online dating I think it's great, right? I just think it depends on which online dating app you're using, right? There's different flavors of online dating app. If you're a God-fearing woman who's ready for marriage, you don't want to be on Tinder. No offense to Tinder. I know I'm on Facebook. Hopefully it doesn't, no offense to that. You don't need to be on Tinder. You don't need to be on these hookup dating apps. Okay. There's some dating apps that has the representation for a reason. I mean, that has the, what do you call it? The reputation for things for a reason. When you find out what the reputation is behind the dating site, don't get on it. Get on Christian dating sites. There's many Christian dating sites. You're a God-fearing woman. Be in the right pool. Be in the right dating pool. You're going to be on a Christian dating sites. And even on the Christian dating apps, you want to make sure that you're still using wisdom. We're going to talk a little bit about that. I think I'm going to talk about, let me know. Do y'all want to learn? Do you want me to send out a teaching on discerning God-fearing men, discerning true God-fearing men? Let me know if you think that would be beneficial, because I may do an email on that. So even when you're on a Christian app, you want to make sure you're discerning true God-fearing men, right? A man that aligns with your purpose, a man that aligns with where you're going. Okay. All right. So I'll do an email on discerning God-fearing men. Okay. The biggest thing, and it's discerning a God-fearing man is no different than discerning just a God-fearing person in general. Right? I want to discern their fruit. I want to know a lot. Okay. I'm not going to go there because I'm about to go all into it. And y'all going to have me on here for 8:30. And I made the goal to soak in my tub and read my book tonight. But yeah, so even while you're on the dating app, you want to make sure, even when you're in a Christian dating apps, you still want to use discernment. Just because he says he's a God-fearing man doesn't mean he's the man that God has for you, and doesn't mean that he's really God-fearing. So, and there's a difference. There's a difference between, I want to talk one thing. I'll share one thing. There's a difference between a man who loves God and a man who fears God. There's a difference between a man who loves God and a man who fears God. What do you guys think the difference is between a man who loves God and a man who fears God? Just think about that. God-fearing and a man who loves God. So you'll see men that say, I love God. He's been a major part of my life. We haven't been on the right standing lately, but, I knew God as a child. Right. And then another God-fearing man, another man who says, he doesn't say he loves God, but he says he fears God, right? He fears God. He's been walking with God all his life, God is a big part of his life. Okay. And he does what he needs to do to please God. What do you think the biggest difference is between a God-fearing man and a man who just loves God? Let me know what y'all think. I want to hear from y'all. I want to know what you think. What you think, Facebook? What you think, Janetta? What you think, Tamara? What you think, Ashley? What you think, Carolyn? God-fearing and a man who loves God. Because we know it's a lot of people online say that they love God. You see it all the time. People talk about God all the time, right? Even the celebrities, right? They thank God all the time, right? They do it all the time, right? It's a good thing to do. It's a, I don't want to say it's like humanitarian, but it's a good look, okay? It's a good look to thank God. It's a good look to say, God is number one in my life. It looks good. Samara says, a man who fears God is the way to go. That means he knows he has to treat you as God would. I love that, Samara. Beautiful. Very well said. The other Carolyn says, a man that loves God, his choices reflect that. I love that, Carolyn. Perfect. Yes. Yes. I love that. Janetta says, God-fearing man goes by the rules. Okay. You mean he aligns his life with the precepts of God, right? The truth of God, right? Pastor Bevere, I love this. He talks about the fear of God. If you haven't gotten that book, I highly recommend that. He talks about the fear of God. And he talks about, I think it was a pastor. Yeah, I think it was a pastor. No, it wasn't a pastor. It was a man. No, it was a pastor. I think it was a pastor. It was a pastor who was in prison, and I think it was for killing somebody or something like that. He did something, some really big crime. And he was going to church, talked about God, read his Bible, right? This man knew about God. So Pastor Vivier said he didn't know. So they was answering this guy, like, how can you love God and do this erroneous act to one of his people, right? And what the difference was, what he said, Bevere, and I'm probably ruining the story, but y'all gonna get my version of it, right? He said, Bevere, I love God, but I did not fear God. I didn't fear God. And it's not the fear of, God gonna get me, right? It's more of a reverence, like I respect and I honor God, right? So, and this, we're not even going to doctrine, but when it comes to doctrine, remember, there's grace in truth, right? There's grace in truth, right? There's love in judgment with our walk with God. God loves us, but when we do what we want to do, we're going to reap the consequences, right? So we don't, even when it comes to churches, we don't want to be in a church that only preaches the love of God. I need to learn about the love of God and also how he says I need to live, right? I need both. So a man who just loves God is a man who's just skating on about life, right? Praying to God when he's in trouble, praying to God, like how he was, right? Praying to God when he's in trouble, right? Praying to God over his food. But when it comes to doing what God says, it ain't gonna happen. And he believes that we're living under grace, and because we're under grace, he gets to do what he wants to do, and God still loves him. Yes, God still loves you, right? But if you continue to live a certain way, you're going to go to hell. You're going to go to hell, right? And scripture supports that. Scripture supports that. All right. You don't just live how you want to live. All right. So that's the biggest difference, right? And God gives us time to change, right? He works on our hearts. He gives us the grace to change, right? The Spirit of God moves us to change, but some people don't. So a man who fears God, you're in better hands. right? Because he fears God, he's going to treat you a certain way because he knows that if he doesn't, he has to answer to God, and he know better than that. Right? He knows, right? And he knows because he knows what it's like by being outside of the will of God, right? He already know. He don't want those hands, right? He doesn't want those hands, right? He doesn't want those hands in his life by mistreating you. That doesn't mean that he's not going to do anything wrong, right? It just means that there's a limit of what he's going to do because he fears God. All right. All right. So beautiful. I love that question. All right. What else do you got? Can you put the book in the comments? I'm going to show you the book right here. Hang on. Let me get it. Actually, I have 2 of these, Janetta. So if you want this, I can mail it to you. Janetta, if you email me your address, I can mail you this because I got 2 of these books. So it's the Awe of God. I'll mail it to you because I have 2. And I don't need 2. So if you want it, email me your address and I'll mail it to you. Yep, it's the Awe of God. And it's a devotional book. All right. All right. Gigi says, yes, a God-fearing man is the right one. Perfect. Yes, absolutely. What other questions? What other questions do you have about dating for marriage, about using wisdom while dating to avoid the same relationship mistakes again? What other questions? We have about 5 more minutes. Okay. Yep. Just email me and I'll mail it to you, Janetta. I'm going to set it. I'll set it over here. Do it this week. Actually, let me keep it out so I can remember. All right. Other questions. Let's see. All right. No other questions yet. Our list is here. Okay. Beautiful. All right. Great. Now, if you are on here, if you feel like you need help with this, so we've been talking about how to make sure you don't date the same man again. So in other words, what do I need to do to date with wisdom so that I get married? You're ready to be married, okay? You're ready to be married, okay? So we talked about 3 things that you need to do. You learned that the real problem is not with taking the time away to heal. The problem is not learning dating advice. The solution is not focusing on yourself. You learn none of these are the solution to dating with wisdom. Okay. You know that the real problem is discernment. So the real solution is to make sure you've learned the lesson and that you gain the wisdom, because what we don't learn from, we're going to repeat. And you learned that the greatest predictor of the future is the past without any growth in between. All right. So 3 things you need to do to start dating with wisdom and to avoid making the same relationship mistakes again, so that you date better men. Okay. You need the depth. You need the depth of why you've made the mistakes in the past. Okay. Just because he wasn't a man of God, that is not enough. You want to dig deeper, find out what is there, find out what my mistakes were, dig deeper. Okay. This is through doing the self-work. Okay. In my Ready for Love program, you do the self-work. So do the self-work to figure out what's there. Why was I making these mistakes in the past? Okay. Then once you figure out why, you want to get the understanding, okay? Get the understanding of what you keep missing. The Bible says in all thy getting, get an understanding. So get the understanding, okay? Then you need the wisdom to do differently. So I know why, now I need to know how to make better dating. So many people, we learn the why, but the how is where it gets a little fuzzy. We don't know how. Okay. And that's where coaching comes in and helps you with how, helps you to learn how to walk this thing out. You have somebody there with you, holding your hand through the process. Okay. So you know the why, then you need the wisdom of how. How do I do things differently? Okay. And then once you learned the wisdom, then you need to put in the work. Once I've learned the wisdom, once I found out why, I have my understanding, I know what I need to do differently. Now I need to do it. Okay. Now I need to do it. I really need to do it. And the only way to do it and put it in action is to start dating again. Some people be thinking that this is what some women do. Okay. They get the information, they get the revelation, they know how they need to do different, and they just sit on it because they're afraid to move. Right? They're afraid to move. They think that they've overcame, but they're not moving, right? But you got to put that in action. Make some moves. Meet men. Talk to men. Okay? Talk to men. Talk to men. Get out there. Start dating again. Once you've learned the lesson and got the wisdom and feel confident on how to do better, get out there and meet new men. We talked about online dating. How do I feel about online dating? I feel about online dating when it comes to dating, I think it's a great idea. I think you need to use the same wisdom that you would use if you were dating someone in person. And I know that with online dating, you have a greater opportunity to vet these men more carefully. Online dating, you can vet men a whole lot more carefully, right? What he puts in his profile is who he is, okay? You can ask him questions before he gets your number, right? Some apps, you can even talk to him before he gets your number. Right? What do I think God thinks about dating? I don't think that God wants us to be dating just willy-nilly. I believe God wants us to date for marriage. God wants us to be courted. So my question to men as I'm dating a guy is, are you ready to be married? That should be my question. If you're not ready to be married, what are we doing here? Right? If you're not ready to be married, then get on out of my inbox. Get out of my inbox, right? Get out of my page. Get away from here. Right? I'm ready to be married. Get. Right? Get. If you're not ready to be married, get out of my inbox. Right? Or they give you some type of fuzzy answer like, yeah, but I believe in being friends first. Right? Okay. Are you ready to be married? Yes or no? I'm okay with being friends first. Right? I'm not asking to be married tomorrow. But the question is, are you ready to be married? Okay. If he begins to beat around the bush and talk in circles, he's not ready to be married. There's a good chance he wants to say what you want to hear, but he's not ready. Okay. Save yourself the trouble and just move on. Right? When he's ready to be married, he'll come back. All right. So put in the work to start dating again. Get out of there. Online dating is fine. Make sure you're on online Christian dating apps. Nothing wrong with the other ones, but if you're a God-fearing woman, it makes sense to be in the right pool where you have a greater chance of meeting a like-minded person, and that's on a Christian dating app. And you learned that also on a Christian dating app, you want to use wisdom as well. We talked about the difference between a God-fearing man and a man who loves God, which is crucial. A man who loves God is a man, he can be a man who just loves God is a man who just loves God. Right? Just like a lot of people just love God. A man who loves God and is God-fearing is a man who aligns his life with God's precepts. Right? All right. All right. And Gigi says, also, we have to have his heart in us. So a God-fearing man, one is best, the heart of her husband. Do you safely trust in her so that he shall have no need of spoil? Yes. Her children rises up and call her blessed. Yes, absolutely. So Proverbs 31. Perfect. All right. So if you feel like you need help with this, if you're like, Latrice, I need help with the self-work. You want help with dating. You want someone to be holding your hand as you get back out there and dating again to make sure that you're on the right track. Okay. You want to, you want to learn the wisdom. You want to position yourself to be the wife. You want to know the places and the spaces to be. You want to know how to show up. Okay. If this is you, then Ready for Love, my Ready for Love process is for you. And Ready for Love, you go through that process. Okay. Starting from the top, we go through the process of you releasing the past. Okay. You learn about how to grow in self-love and how to grow in your confidence. You learn on how to position yourself to be a wife so that you're showing up as a wife. You learn about your purpose and how to align yourself with your purpose. You learn how to position yourself in places and spaces to meet God-fearing men. And you also learn what you need to do for them to pursue you for marriage. Okay. So you learn all of this stuff. Okay. what makes coaching so unique is that it cuts the learning curve. So sometimes a lot of the stuff that we're talking about today, it takes women years to grasp these concepts. It takes women years to get the understanding. When it comes to even coaching and mentoring, these things help you. It helps accelerate your process. Okay. So what would have took you 3 years or 4 years, you can get done in 6 months because you're working with somebody who's already done it, right? Who has proof that it works, right? So that you can get the same results in your life. Okay. So you can get the same results in your life. That's what makes coaching and mentoring and even counseling so beneficial. It helps you to avoid, it helps you to see your blind spots, those areas where you're not seeing, so that you go further faster, right? That's why Michael Jordan, think about coaching as with these sports players that have coaches, right? They know how to play the game. They know how to play basketball. They know how to play football, right? But they have a coach because a coach is on the outside looking in, seeing their blind spots, right? See their blind spots, saying, hey, you're missing this part here. You're not looking at that part over there. What about this, right? Maybe you should reshift and do it this way so that you can win the game, okay? So when it comes to love coaching and life coaching, it's to help you to win the game, help you to reach whatever goal you have for your life. When we work together, it's for you getting married, help you to accelerate that process to get married. So if your goal is to be married by next year, the Ready for Love process is for you. If you've already tried everything that you've known on yourself, by yourself, then you want to get the help to make it work, right? You've already tried everything. If I've already tried everything, then obviously I need to get extra help, okay? If that's you, then Ready for Love is for you. So if that's for you, you can go ahead. The first step will be just to book a call. Book a call with me. We'll get on the call. We'll talk about your love life, where you are, where you want to be, and then we'll talk more about how I can help you. All right? And the link is in the chat. I'm not sure if it's going to show up on here or not, but I'll put it in the chat here. Actually, what I love about y'all, I just got me a MacBook this year. And what I love about it is I can copy on my computer and then it's like a clipboard on my cell phone. Let me see. Bam. That's what I love about Mac. Yes. So got it. Okay. So the link is in the chat. All right. So if that's you can go ahead and book your call. We'll get on the call. We'll talk about where you are, your relationship goals, and what you need to do to make some moves. What you need to do to get married. Okay. What you need to do to get married. All right. Any other questions before we drop? We've been on here for 1 hour and 7 minutes. I'm doing good. Did y'all get anything? Did this help you? This is a good discussion, some good girl talk. Only thing I'm missing is my coffee, a warm drink. But it was good talking to y'all tonight. We've had a lot of revelations. Y'all been helping each other in here. So this was good. All right. Perfect. Okay. All right. Well, I will talk to you all. If you're not on a part of the email community, make sure you're a part of it. Okay. I'm sending out emails. We are in day number 9. Tomorrow is going to be day 10 of the date for marriage month. Okay. For the past 15 days, the next 5 days, but for the past 10 days, I've been emailing you all everything, as much information as I can about dating for marriage, on how to date for marriage. Okay. That's what you've been getting. Next week, our focus is going to be on actually getting out there. We've been talking about doing the self-work, like pre-dating work. We've talked about self-work. We've also talked about vetting men. The past 5 days has been a lot on vetting men. Now we're going to talk about getting out there. Okay. So you definitely want to be looking out for those emails. I'm going to be giving you places to be. I'm going to be giving you how to show up and what you need to do to have a man pursue you for marriage. So it's going to be good. All right. All right. So for you ladies who are booking your call, I will talk to you soon. All right. And for the rest of you ladies, have a great night.